Hello and welcome back to the adventures of Mary Sue the Terrible. First thing I want to say is I am really sorry for the fact that there were hammering and sawing noises in the last video. They're just renovations going on in my house at the moment. I am so sorry that they got recorded, and I think I've gone somewhere hopefully quieter now, so hopefully you shouldn't be hearing any of that. And now Jacob's just explaining that now that we're a team, we're going to be put through some practical tests, and he's going to introduce us to our instructor, who is... Hi Kane, and as you might notice, Kane also has a new portrait. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Oh, of course it's in the form of combat, yeah, you know, because... Yeah, we're going to have to be fighting a lot. I still don't know what more you can be walking home with than an injury if you get hurt, but... I don't know, wounded pride, perhaps? Though that really only matters for Luke. And now, they're getting us straight to our test. And if you look at the bottom screen, you can probably already tell who our opponent's going to be. Now, I actually think that's a pretty nice line. Yeah, I always like that line. Our opponent is, drumroll please, yes, today, Mary Sue gets to live out her wildest fantasy, brutally murdering Sheeta. What is it with Katharina and calling people adjectives like that? Oh look, it's X, they're so X. She does that a lot. Oh, and on the high difficulties, you should be nervous. Very, very nervous. Sheeta is, well... she's kind of a stumbling point, especially on Lunatic mode. But on normal, she's gone for now. And we instead are greeted with a tutorial on the weapon triangle, because now we have access to, well, actually we've only got access to two of them, but as we can see here, Luke here uses swords, and Rhodey uses lances, and we have one opponent for each of the strengths of swords and lances. But before we get into this, after besting them in battle in the last chapter, we now get Luke and Rhodey on our side. Luke and Rhodey are essentially the red and green knights of this game, though they function a little differently to the original Cain and Abel. As such, I'm going to be considering them both together and on their own individual merits. So, we'll start with Luke, or should we say, Luke, Paladin of Dawn. Sorry, I just couldn't resist the urge to say that. Luke may talk big, but how does he measure up stat-wise? Well, pretty well actually. If you take a look at those growths, you'll see they're all pretty good. Being the Red Knight of the duo, Luke's specialties are in HP and strength, but his other stats don't suffer for that. His skill and speed are still pretty good. He'll even end up maxing out speed on average, as you can see below. And his defense is actually pretty good, and he'll end up with quite high in that area. Really, Luke is pretty well rounded, and he doesn't have many weaknesses. But there's one thing immediately noticeable between him and Rhodey. Well, first is that Luke tends to prefer swords over lances. And secondly, and this is the important one, Luke begins with slightly higher base stats, and this is the real difference between the two. Luke's slightly higher bases mean that he has more immediate usability than Rhodey does. In particular, that extra point of defense really comes in handy on the higher difficulties when you need someone to act as a meat shield. Yes, you will be needing meat shields in the prologue. It actually does get pretty intense later on. Also, Luke and Rhodey both have the same defense growth, but since Luke has a 1 point start, he usually ends up higher in that area. And compared to the original Mystery of the Emblem, well, it's safe to say Luke has got a lot better. If you haven't played the original, I'll just say it now. In the original, Luke's growths were all inferior to Rhodey's, in every single way. What that meant was, while he started out better, Rhodey would totally outclass him in the long run, so using him was pretty much pointless, since they both joined in the same chapter anyway. Now though, Luke actually has some areas he excels in Rhodey over, and not only that, but none of his growths can really be called bad. This means that he'll actually end up pretty excellent, so the choice between using him or Rhodey is less clear-cut. Speaking of Rhodey, let's go over to him now. As you can see, Rhodey is the Green Knight of the duo, and of the two, he specialises in skill, speed and luck, at the cost of a bit of HP and strength, but only a little bit. Rhodey's strength growth is only 10 points less than Luke's, and it's still more than enough for him to max out on average anyway. The real significant edge Rhodey has over Luke is in luck, in which the growth is considerably higher, and high enough for him to max it out on average. Shame that Paladin has a lower luck cap than other classes for some strange reason. This means that Rhodey will be dodging a lot more than Luke does. Of course, Luke does have better HP and a 1 point base head start in defense, which means Luke will be a bit more durable. So, you know, really, they're actually kind of about equal in that regard. Looking at the bottom part of the screen, you can tell that Rhodey prefers lances over swords, and like I mentioned in Luke's review, his bases are a little bit lower than Luke's, most noticeably in strength and defense, but actually his speed is 1 point lower too. This, means that he has slightly less immediate utility, and he's less useful as a meat shield in the prologue overall. But if you let him get some level ups, that skill and speed, and especially luck, will start to pick up, and he'll become really good. The one thing you might notice is that Rhodey does have one extra support option over Luke, but we'll be seeing her a bit later. Compared to the original Mystery of the Emblem, I'd actually say Rhodey got a little worse in this game, but that's only because Luke got better. In the original, there was no doubt that Rhodey was superior to Luke in every way. Now, the difference between them is much less clear-cut, and they're more equals. Which, I guess kind of suits them better. Really, as for the choice between the two of them, they're both amazing, and I can't fault you for using either of them. In fact, you might want to use both in the prologue, get them a few level ups, and if you've got strange luck like me, chances are one of the two will get RNG screwed. In that case, use the other one. To sum up, Luke has slightly better immediate usability, but Rhodey may end up slightly better in the long run. So really, they're about equal, and that's the way it should be. Alright, with that out of the way, it's back to the chapter. Since this part of the chapter is essentially a tutorial on the weapon triangle, it's pretty easy. On the higher difficulties, there's actually an extra enemy, and Sheeta starts on the map, which is a very serious problem. You do not want to enter her range before you're ready, trust me on this. Okay, so fighting these two guys, again, use the sword against the axe and the lance against the sword. But really, it doesn't actually matter that much anyway. And finish them with Ryan and Mary Sue. Or alternatively, you could let Luke and Rhodey get the kills. I'm actually not going to be using either of them. I will explain why I did Blade 8, just because there's this other paladin in this game who is ridiculously, insanely awesome. Speaking of paladins, this game gives you a lot of paladins. You are really spoiled for choice. But that doesn't make Luke and Rhodey any worse. They're actually some of the best in the game, if not the best. So don't worry about using them. Just note that you'll be getting a lot. And here's Sheeta, and Sheeta can be a bit of a problem because of her speed. In fact, depending on what class your My Unity is, you may even be doubled by her. And certainly, she's actually fast enough to double your knights. Probably even on normal. So, watch out. She won't move unless you get in her range, which is good. Use the forts to heal, because you do not want to take a double attack from her. Now, faster My Unit builds can avoid being doubled, so they can sort of tank her like that. The main strategy here is to get someone to tank a hit from her, and then have Ryan shoot her down, like the tutorial said. course, I'm going to use Mary Sue here. And interestingly, Sheeta actually comments on your class. Which, yeah, is pretty cool. Oh no, she is not going to go easy on us, especially on the high difficulties. Whoa boy. On Lunatic, Sheeta is ridiculous. She pretty much doubles everyone you have. And only a really... Wow! Hey, that was awesome! Mary Sue, I guess you're channeling some of your die for your ship fury here. And that was a pretty nice level up too. So I actually forgot she dodged with a 90, that was pretty awesome. But now that Sheeta's lured, time to finish her with... There we go! Yeah, you probably will need to use Ryan here. And let's see what his level up's like. Please get speed, please get speed, please get speed. Yes! Strength, skill, speed, usually they're the stats you'll be seeing out of Ryan in the level up, and that is it. Sheeta is done. And for our troubles, of course, Princess Sheeta, what she's really thinking, I'm going to murder you, you evil bitch. Sorry. And for our efforts, Sheeta is offering to join us. By the way, yeah, it's an American spelling of Sheeta, but it's pronounced the same way regardless, so yeah. And we're gonna have to go ask Jagan if it's really okay to, use Sheeta. It should be, I mean, you know, we need another fast person on our side. And, of course, he approves. Yeah, good on you, Jagan, you're awesome. Now, this bit that's coming up, I'm going to need to discuss this in a little more detail, and I'm actually going to cut the video early because of this. You're given a choice here. Now, you probably won't know it yet, but whether you select yes or no affects which version of the next map you'll be playing. Yes, Prologue 4 has two versions. If you answer yes to Jagan's question, you go to map A. If you answer no, you go to map B. The map itself is the same, but the enemy is different, and who you'll be up against, and which character you'll be recruiting afterwards is also different. So the choice here is important. Now, just to, one, show off the translation team's work, and two, make this more of a comprehensive walkthrough, I'm going to be showing both versions of the next map. So, I'm going to cut the video here. Next time, I'll be showing the effects of both these choices, and I'll pick off from right here. So, see you then.